again, yesterday, super busy day. I was going to do a video, and then I just got into more research, more conversations with people who I do admire and respect, and just discussions over what everyone's been doing, essentially, with what actually happened on September 10th, 2025, unfortunately, with the horrendous murder of Charlie Kirk. And it's blowing up mainstream media, and rightfully so. Like, a lot of people do want and deserve the truth about what happened to be able to prevent this from happening again. And but there are people, again, that have millions and millions of viewers, so many different people, and they're sharing information that looks to be coming from an echo chamber of their own design. And I'm saying this respectfully because I adore these people and I do listen to their stuff. But again, always come at things with a little bit of a grain of salt, and always fact check and verify sources for your own. Don't just listen to what your favorite podcaster is saying. Actually look at the data and come up with your own conclusions, because again, I'm just going to say, like, the more mainstream right-wing podcaster groups, again, there's a huge echo chamber of people saying the same thing, coming to the same conclusions, and I think it might be a misdirection by no fault of their own. And again, they're just looking for answers. But before I get into Candace Owens' video from yesterday, I do want to just share like a few clips that's going to kind of segue into that. And then I might, if I have time, because I got a lot of stuff to do today as well, but get into a debate. Not even a debate, because they're not talking together. They're talking through videos, but Destiny and another YouTube influencer, his name is Metatron. And so they've been at it back and forth the last couple of days, because he's calling out things that Destiny has said over the years that is not protected speech, right? And I'll get into what he has said, because again, don't take things just from me or out of context, like people are doing with Charlie Kirk, respectfully. I don't want to put things into his mouth that he hasn't said. So I'm only going to share things that he has actually said in context.
Dust kid. That's a guy, that's one of the people, legitimately, you have no, it's actually kind of scary, how close I was to getting people together to go down to his house and kill him and his family. Or it would have just been him and his father. Because I didn't know anything about it. Dude, that was some of the most fucked up shit in my entire life. I was so fucking close to doing it, but I was making so much money on Twitch, and I don't know if Nathan was involved in yet, but for whatever reason, I decided that the current life I had wasn't worth the risk of. Oh my god, I was so close to this fucking address. I had fucking streets mapped out and fucking you had no fucking idea. That's when I first started getting an interest in owning a weapon. I got a permit to own a gun and everything.
Talks about guns. Now somehow he has a permit to own a gun. He should not have a gun, based on what, or at least be investigated, give him his due process. But the things that he has said online, again, he got a gun because he wanted to commit a murder. I'm not saying he did it. He's saying he didn't do it, obviously. He got a gun and a permit in order to commit a murder. That was the intent there. Intent's very important when you want to get a gun. First thing they should be asking you is, hey, do you want to commit a murder? And if the answer in Destiny is yes, anyways, then don't give him a goddamn gun. Anyways, and so he's talking about Twitch as well. He alluded to, or made it seem like, he was removed or deplatformed from Twitch. I didn't even know this site existed. Again, there's so many things out there to look at. Not one of the ones I was tracking. In 2022, not recently, over a celebration of Charlie Kirk's assassination, like a disgusting human being. But again, I'm calling him a human being. There's no need to dehumanize him. And I don't think anything bad should ever happen to him, obviously. I think that he should be, again, investigated for what he has said. No firearms. And at least, no, because even currently he's saying that he doesn't take back things that he has said.
Holy.
Oh, could you imagine watching Nunez's eyes pop out of his fucking head? Nothing would make me happier. Oh my god, I would fucking jerk off. So I would never need to browse porn again if I had a live video feed of Nunez being killed for crimes against his fucking country. Oh my god, it would be the most arousing fucking thing I could ever imagine seeing in my entire life. I'm squeezing my hog to this. That worthless subhuman fucking...
Subhuman. He likes to dehumanize people, and he's talking about achieving orgasm better than any orgasm he's ever experienced. Again, being very graphic over the death of someone just because they're differing from him ideologically speaking and spiritually speaking, it sounds like as well. I don't know the guy that he was talking about. And so it gives you like the same kind of like thoughts in your mind. Like, was he having these same thoughts with what's went on with Charlie Kirk? And people wouldn't have so much of an issue with this if he wasn't on Jubilee, if he hadn't been someone that debated Ben Shapiro, Andrew Wilson, countless others. This guy gets platformed where there are millions of people that see his content. And then when he plays video games, things like this during these like Discord pages, he is very, very graphic and incites radicalism and violence towards his political opponents that he dehumanizes consistently. So you've heard some of it. I'm going to keep it playing, and I'm going to show another video after the Candace Owen one. But how many videos do you have of Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro or any of these guys that are considered to be extreme radicals? How many videos are out there of them saying the exact same things that Destiny is saying? And these guys have debated him. They've never, that I've ever heard or seen out there, of them ever saying anything close. And in fact, they try to be as respectful as possible, coming from a place of love and just want to educate people for their own good. That's what they're coming at it from.
Piece of shit deserves to die.
Conservatives have been disgusting for years, which is why I don't give a fuck about anybody that winds up at any of these rallies and gets shot or whatever the fuck, okay? Because they had no problem making fun of Paul Pelosi. The entire world would...
No one made fun of anyone that I know of, or on any of these like these podcasters that he's talking about, or these social media influencers. No one was celebrating that. So again, this is yet again is another lie, and he doesn't show proof or receipts, or he'll take things out of context. When George Floyd passed away, and that was a criminal. So these are completely two separate things. But a convicted criminal, when he passed away, how he did, so many different screens went black, by the way, including mine. At the time, like I was going off of just the video that was shared and information that was shared at the time. And there were, since then I had like looked at more things like the autopsy reports, like what was in his body, like how many charges he had, who he was saying was his mama, which was his girlfriend, going through the court proceedings, like listening, like looking at more videos, like I was saying, of like the whole thing, frame by frame. There was no celebration there of anyone I know. And again, I hate even mentioning that, but I'm just saying like these people have no points that they make. But when people get fired, like when Tucker got fired, people were celebrating, even Jimmy Kimball and Roseanne and countless other people on the right that have gotten canceled, despite the fact that it's free speech. What they were saying was like very vanilla. But again, especially in comparison to what Destiny and people on the far left are saying.
Be better off if these people were permanently removed from these platforms. Like, there is no downside and only upside to see people like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Tim Pool never be allowed to publicly broadcast their opinions ever again.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events.
And he's naming people too, like they need to get killed. They need to get killed, and he's trying to get away with it by not saying the names. As he's saying it, he'll say like, "Oh, all the conservatives, like all the right wing, they all should die," and then he'll be like, "Candace Owens, Benjamin." Like, what do you think you're doing with that messaging, psycho?
So that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term.
I'll give you one last chance, Destiny, to condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Yes, you are acting like a non-human.
Why can't I hear Donald Trump
Because you are against
condemn violence
humanity.
in this
All
country?
right, you won't
Why can't I
condemn
hear
it. Okay, we've
I
all
can't hear it.
heard.
That's insane
We've
to
all
me.
heard you repeatedly refuse to
And
condemn
we've
it.
heard Donald Trump refuse to condemn
Jack
it too. But for
Posobiec.
some reason, the
He's a
leftists on
psycho.
YouTube are a bigger deal. Unbelievable.
Yeah, what's incredible is you don't have the basic humanity to condemn it. You'd rather taunt his widow. I find that sickening.
Oh, I did troll the shit out of the DDoS kid. That's a guy. That's one of the.
I'm getting to Candace's video because, again, she's a great journalist and I do adore her. There's just some things that if she ever sees these videos or is open to like enough people watching my videos of my coverage and assessment and analysis of the Charlie Kirk horrendous atrocity that happened, but it could shed some more light or a different perspective on some things that I think people are getting too canalized and wrapped around. Okay, so let's see here. Changing minds quickly, yeah.
one side of the political aisle in America is heavily armed, and it's the other side that commits the vast majority of political violence, you know, there's a tacit admission from the left that their side is the violent side, because if somebody, God forbid, if a big left-wing influencer, God forbid, was killed, what they would be doing immediately is boarding up every single major city in America, because there would be rioting and looting. People would die. We know that tens, if not hundreds of people died during the BLM riots. And obviously, none of that has happened, and none of that is expected to happen, despite the fact that the right, whose avatar was just murdered in cold blood, is heavily armed, right? So there is this tacit understanding from the left, even as they call the right the source of all the political violence and fascists and Nazis and what have you, that actually the right will not pick up their arms and turn on their leftist neighbors, right? They rely on the forbearance of their conservative neighbors who are much more heavily armed not to actually take revenge. And we all know that this is happening. They just won't admit it. It is so amazing to sit here and have people bring up case after case after case that has been like thoroughly debunked. You know, just because Josh Shapiro is a Democrat doesn't mean the person who tried to assassinate him was a Republican. That guy did it, he said, because Josh Shapiro is killing his Palestinian friends, okay? And we have cases like that again and again. They have to keep going back to January 6th, which, as Vince pointed out, no one was killed except Ashley Babbitt, who was one of the protesters, to compare a meme posted of a Halloween costume to people actually saying the things that murderers then use to justify their killing. Like the guy who killed that couple outside the Jewish Museum in DC, or like this killer who killed Charlie, saying the exact same things you hear from the most prominent Democrats is facetious. It is facetious to compare an actual justification for murder that turns into murder with a photo that gets posted. And this is why conservatives are so frustrated, because they know that even as the left is demonizing them, the left is tacitly acknowledging that they're not actually in danger from their conservative neighbors. One side of the political aisle in America is heavily armed, and it's the other side that commits the vast majority of political violence. You know, there's a tacit admission from the left that their side is the violent side, because if somebody, God forbid, if a big left-wing influencer, God forbid, was killed, what they would be doing immediately is boarding up every single major city in America, because there would be rioting and looting. People would die. We know that tens, if not hundreds of people died during the BLM riots. And obviously, none of that has happened, and none of that is expected to happen, despite the fact that the right, whose avatar was just murdered in cold blood, is heavily armed, right? So there is...
Sorry, I let it play a little bit longer than I should have. She's so well-spoken. And she's really good at pointing out the hypocrisy and where the danger actually lies and with who, statistically speaking, using objective data. This was coming out from Canadian News. County staged his housing announcement in Nepean with fake prop buildings. The lot is now empty, and this is Hydro One's sign here, says no trespassing. What did that stunt cost? We don't know. So does Mark Carney truly believe that Canadians are really that stupid? I think that was from Barbara.
In Nepean, I am at the location of Prime Minister Carney's house.
Yeah, I think that was Barbara Ball. Like, she was voting, competing against him in the by-election. She should have won. It was such a corrupted thing that he did to get Chandra Arya out, knowing that it would be a liberal landslide.
Housing announcement a few days ago, and there is nothing here. So all those buildings were brought in just for the photo op.
Doesn't surprise me, because the guy's a liar, and he duped so many people. Oh, I'm new. No, you've been at this for a long time, destroying our economy. I've saved a lot of witness accounts and assessments regarding Charlie Kirk's death, horrendous death. And so I highly encourage people, if they're interested in witness accounts, to I don't know what this is. I forget why I posted this.
I don't know how you sleep at night. I would not do your job. I do not like it. So people can literally call your company and get a bunch of paid actors, if you will, to stand up there, hold signs, and scream on the street corner, because that's what your company does.
Number one, it's not actors. We're providing activists who are truly engaged with the cause, right?
But are they? I just showed you a video of a guy going, I don't even know why I'm here. They got signs and they got sheets and they said, go say this and talk to cameras and hold signs.
It's challenging for them to get sufficient turnout to a lot of these events, compensating people, just like, Dan, you're compensated for hosting your program. These are your real views on this program, but you're compensated. Our protesters,
I am, but I don't pay my viewers to watch me. So I love the fact that I can go on the street corner and say whatever the hell I want, a grievance against my government, or call my neighbor or whatever I want, because that's America. But I don't like that companies try to stage it all and hire people and set it up. It should be organic. The American people should want to come out, get on their soapbox, my show, I'm talking. They should come out and want to gather together and say, here's the cause I'm sticking up for. But you see, guys like you and the bureaucrats and the folks in D.C. love stirring up the pot between us Americans. And so you pay people to do this, and you make a scene look bigger than it really is.
Yes,
you make an issue bigger than it truly is. And so I don't like your business. I'm going to end it there, but I appreciate you coming back on. I don't know how you sleep at night.
So many companies like this. I'm so thankful that this is finally getting out there, because I did get a lot of hate from people when I was saying that there were certain major protests, riots that were not organic. I meant that respectfully. I'm like, I even said in 2022, like when it happened, I'm like, let's take this protest over and make it a peaceful one. But like where we're like essentially getting away from the narrative they want to paint, right, which is the right wing white supremacy, ridiculousness, dehumanizing the unvaccinated, etc. Because people within cabinet and within the House of Commons and our elected officials, they were getting a lot of money and kickbacks and having shares in stocks, profit off of what they were doing with the rollout, including Doug Ford, who is a literal traitor to Canada, whose decal business. It went from like a couple $1 million to over $50 million in value. The last thing I checked a couple of years ago. This is absolutely disgusting. These like decals for all the signage in hospitals and grocery stores, etc., all over Canada, especially in Ontario. And again, how like this is exploitation, and we shouldn't have had lockdowns and the mandates and the forced inoculations like we did, and the restrictions and like not able to go and travel and see family, etc., etc. Like this was all complete overreach. And anyways, but like, and again, it's all by design for selfish people.
I feel like my YouTube is going to get permabanned soon, because I got like broad demonetized yesterday for they didn't even cite a video. So I don't know. I'll appeal it. We'll see what happens. But
that's YouTube. That's not Twitch.
Oops. We didn't start. I mean, if Kimmel is getting canceled from ABC, I don't know.
Okay. First of all, with Kimmel, he should have been fired 4 years ago with what he was talking about regarding the unvaccinated people, like not giving them hospital beds or medical attention, and let them die, calling them like, good riddance, wheezy, or whatever it was. Psychotic verbiage. And again, it's not like he's like just like someone that has like 100 followers. Like this guy is getting government funding too. So taxpayers dollars also going in his pockets and things like that. But again, obviously from sponsors and donors, not making any money. Influencers like that, the news, legacy media, mainstream media, like it used to be, it's nowhere near the same level or ratings. And it's because they have gone way too out of control and platforming people that have no business being platformed. When Jimmy Kimmel, people don't remember the Man Show, when he had that phallic thing, whatever like that in his pants, and he's going to young women all over the streets, asking them to stroke this thing between his legs and saying the most inappropriate things as well. Like it's just, oh my God. And then there was another video I'm thinking about where there was a girl, like she was looking out at some kind of like a monument area, historical site, whatever it was, but he's behind her and he's doing like obscene things behind her back and like pretending to look under her skirt and like the humping behind her back gestures and stuff like that. So not funny. Free speech, but again, like it just should have been deplatformed over 4 years ago, and so based on what he was saying, like he did deserve to be fired, like respectfully speaking. That's it. I'm not saying he needs to be investigated or jail time. None of that stuff. I don't think anyone should be like trolling him or anything like that. But finally got fired, and it's because he didn't have the ratings. He wasn't making his company money, and his contract was coming up again for renegotiation or something like that in the next few months, anyways. And look at, there's already like a bunch of other people that have already gotten fired in the last several months, and more to follow. And they're going to blame it on other people, and they're going to blame it on censorship and cancel culture. That's not it at all. You are not getting the viewers, and you're spreading misinformation and a lot of crazy stuff as well. What else did I want to say? CBC. We should have no taxpayers funding CBC because of what they have shared over the last several years, especially since COVID, when countless people were contacting them, their tip lines, etc., and completely getting gaslit. So it just you're finally getting fired. It took way too long.
What can you do? We didn't start it. How many times have these celebrated people on the right getting cancelled? Now that they're on the receiving end, they're crying about it.
I feel like my YouTube is going to get permaban soon.
Yeah. Just got one more clip, and then I'm going to get into the Candace Owens thing. Yeah, they were celebrating during COVID when I lost everything. Like during COVID, like 2020, I had so many contracts that I was already involved with, and that were going to get extended. And at first, it was because of all the extreme measures for a very long time, especially in Canada. It was a long period. And first, it was you couldn't do things in person, and the things that I was teaching, like it absolutely needs to be in person, like for so many different reasons. Week-long courses and stuff like that in some cases as well, and advanced firearms instruction and things like that. You cannot do this virtually, like nowhere near to the same degree at all, not even close. And then people, because of what I was sharing online and within the community, like people were fully thinking that I was a conspiracy theorist because of what I was saying regarding COVID and the inoculations and the possible leak and possible other biolabs throughout the world, and then the adverse side effects that were so many different things. And yeah, so it just and it's such a small community, especially within Ottawa, and so like that really did hinder my career. Where even now, like I'm still trying to reach out to people that I had worked with on major contracts in the past, and it's still like we have to get that trust built back, that relationship built, and then I guess go from there. But I would still like to teach the standing rep deployment team courses because I think it's needed now more than ever for people that are going to be in journalism, people that are working within government, like at the higher up level, just to give them a little bit more assistance in assessing real world events, whether they be natural or man-made, international stuff, and be able to make a better assessment. Because even during COVID, I kept on saying, like, you've got people that are chief of police and people that are part of the cabinet even, that were spreading blatant misinformation misinformation regarding COVID and the Russia-Ukraine war and Israel, so many different things. And but they're the ones that are also implementing bills and policies and measures and assessments based on these, so they should be way more accurate. And they were saying that they were getting their information from the news, when we know that news lies. And so I can't believe that we're at that level. But anyway, I know I'm ranting, but okay. So liberal school over January 6th.
When black conservatives come with the receipts.
So I just want to make it very clear. Donald Trump radicalized an insurrection on January 6th that killed one of y'all's side of the aisle. Let's be very clear. A young lady was killed there, and she was a Republican because Trump radicalized. Trump did not make the message or make the call to stop. Instead, he told him to storm the Capitol. And so one of y'all's lost their lives because of what he's done. So how do y'all explain that?
Okay, so about January 6th, I can speak quite a bit on this issue because I was actually in DC on January 6th. I was scheduled to speak at the Capitol building. It was an event that was going to be taking place coinciding with the other event that happened at the Ellipse. President Trump exited the stage and attendees were instructed to walk towards the Capitol building for these speeches. And before any of this happened, President Trump actually knew, and he had an idea, hey, we need to increase the security. He reached out to DC Mayor Muriel Bowser and Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and said, hey, let's get the security up for this event. Let's make sure we have enough Capitol police officers there. They both declined because they didn't see it as important enough. They didn't see it as risky enough. So each and every time we hear this rhetoric about saying, oh, Trump insurrected, he said to his people, go march there and attack the Capitol building. No, I was there at that speech, front row, 10 feet away from that man when he said, march peacefully. I saw on Twitter before they nuked him off the platform, he said, protest peacefully, hurt nobody. And at the very end, he posted a video on Twitter, once again, before he was nuked off the platform, saying, please leave, do not break any laws, go home and stop. That is what President Trump did on that day.
I just love when black conservatives come.
And I don't trust everything that Trump is doing and sharing and saying. And I do believe that he's being more impacted by the people within his close group, especially in the last several months. And I've called him out on Space Force and about COVID, like his push on that as well, and things that but I mean, you've got enough actual data to look at and troll a little bit. But when you're actually like outwardly lying, again, it discredits you. And so this is a statement from the president. This was the 1st of June, 2020. Over 5 years ago, this was written, statement by the president. I believe that George Floyd died on the 25th of May of that year. Correct me if I'm wrong. The president, thank you very much, my fellow Americans. My first and highest duty as president is to defend our great country and the American people. I swore an oath to uphold the laws of our nation, and that is exactly what I will do. All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd. Destiny. Statement by the president over 5 years ago. Like, are you just conveniently like not reading this stuff? He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. And that's exactly what you guys did. That's exactly what you were murdering people in the streets. You were looting, you were pillaging, burning businesses down, your own communities. And that made you guys look sick and disgusting. So of course, these actions are going to further polarize people that are coming from the opposite side saying love and peace, believe in God, no violence, use your words. My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous... Okay, I already said that. So the biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities. And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I will fight to protect you. This is when Walz and Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi, all these disgusting human beings, I'm calling them human beings, I'm not dehumanizing them, but should not have been in positions of authority on people that they actually, that they hate and incite violence towards and call fascists and Nazis. These are not professionals. These are not God-loving people that care about people unless they're on their side, right? Unless you're on their side, right? I'm a president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. But in recent days, our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals, rioters, Antifa, and others. Antifa now being declared a terrorist organization. Finally, rightfully so. A number of state and local governments have failed to take necessary, and I'm not saying that everyone in Antifa is a bad person that deserves jail. I'm not saying that at all. But there are a lot of radicals, extreme radicals that are violent in that organization. And this is a fact. This is a fact. Look at all the charges. Look at all the videos. Look at all the stats. Innocent people have been savagely beaten, like the young man in Dallas, Texas, who was left dying on the street, or the woman in upstate New York viciously attacked by dangerous thugs. Small business owners have seen their dreams utterly destroyed. New York's finest have been hit in the face with bricks. Brave nurses who have battled the virus are afraid to leave their homes. A police precinct station was overrun. It was overrun. Stand and fight. Here in the nation's capital, the Lincoln Memorial and the World War II Memorial have been vandalized. World War II Memorial vandalized. The men, mostly men and some women, but the men that fought for your freedom, sacrificed so much for democracy, and they're desecrating. This to me is just, again, and these are tactics used by people to elicit the largest emotional response in people. These are not acts of peaceful protest. These are acts of domestic terror. The destruction of innocent life and the spilling of innocent blood is an offense to humanity and a crime against God. America needs creation, not destruction, cooperation, not contempt, security, not anarchy, healing, not hatred, justice, not chaos. This is our mission, and we will succeed. 100%. We will succeed. Okay, you can't 100% succeed in this, unfortunately, but that's just the expense of a free country. So our country always wins. It just goes on, right? So if a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them. Yeah. He goes on from there. It was out of control. All right. Okay, so people were sharing a lot of videos, and I think I shared this in my other videos as well. But people are like, "Oh, what about the people that were taking the the security footage down?" You need to do that as fast as possible in order to secure the evidence. So for people that have investigative backgrounds or background or again like backgrounds in the army or law enforcement or in like executive protection, these are all things that are taught and practiced. It's standard protocol. So it's not something that I was looking at like, oh, this is unusual for some reason. And I understand why. Like people, especially civilians, they don't understand that, right? You need to secure the scene. You need to make sure that you get and gather, especially when things are chaotic, like the most important, crucial data that you need. Yeah, and so I've talked about that before, right? And so for me, that was like there was nothing suspicious about that. But Candace, because she is great at finding people, and she was able to get the guy that had the that took the footage. And again, he's even saying it himself, it was to secure it. I don't think there was anything at all sinister in that. I think he was just doing his job and a good job because a lot of people, I mean, this is a very extreme event that happened. And, you know, the immediate response would be to obviously get to safety first and then whatever after that. And yeah, he stuck around and had the wherewithal to actually gather what he was supposed to gather, so that, you know, other people didn't take it as they were running and fleeing and things like that.
Guys, I hope everyone has been having a good Friday. What are we going to discuss today? Well, it has been going viral. A mere minutes after Charlie Kirk is shot, there are two men that look rather mysterious. They appear, they move his chair, and they take down the camera that's directly or was directly behind his head. Why did they do that? Well, fortunately, I was able to establish connection with one of those individuals, and I was also able to see the footage with my own eyes. What I saw was very interesting, but what I didn't see was even more interesting. So let's jump right back into this. Welcome back to Candace. Okay, rare Friday episode. Gotta do Friday episode here because this is just so important. And the vultures are circulating above, man. They are definitely insisting that we stop investigating this. I should at first let you know that the Senate has voted and they have passed a bipartisan resolution to designate October 14th, which is Charlie's birthday, as Charlie Kirk Remembrance Day. And I have to say that is a very government maneuver. Like we get a Martin Luther King Day, we've got Martin Luther King Boulevards, John F. Kennedy gets a library, a national day of mourning. But you know what? You know what I was thinking? I'd like to just find out who killed them all first. That's interesting to me. Who killed them? Before we give them a library, I'd like to know who did it. I think that's the best way for us to learn. The best way for us to remember is to study, right? That's what I learned at grade school. That's what we're doing right now. We're studying this and learning everything. Let's at first address what many people have been emailing me constantly, asking me, Can't you gotta look into this? You gotta look into this. Look at these two strange men. We're going to refer to this as Cameragate. It's Cameragate. And I want to say this, shout out to all of the internet sleuths, the TikTokers, the YouTubers, those of you who are not playing around.
It is not Cameragate. And again, I adore Candace, but sometimes she does say things that are controversial and that I don't agree with, and I just share it because, again, she has a huge following and a lot of people have watched this live. I was watching it live too.
And you noticed this because I did not in the beginning. But yes, as I said, there's an individual who is at first, in the moments just after the shooting, he's like up on the rocks near the car that Charlie gets taken away in while he's being carried away. Let's take a look at that footage actually first. Let's look at that footage. And don't worry, there's no gore in this episode. It's difficult for me to even look at that sort of footage. Take a look. You can see Charlie's there. And one of you guys caught this. You probably didn't even see it there. And we can get in a little closer. Do you guys have it slow it down, or do you guys just want to circle here? Okay. Right there. Right there. An individual standing there. Again, I am just amazed at internet sleuths, as I was like, wow, that is very strange. That person appears to be calmly talking into their phone. It's like
it didn't look strange to me, but I get where she's coming from. She wants to look at everything.
Circus around them. What's he doing? Who's he speaking to? Then, just a couple of minutes afterward, that same individual appears alongside another individual, and he moves Charlie's chair. That's a crime scene. That's not good. And he moves it because he wants to stand on it as he takes down the cameras, or the camera rather, that is just above Charlie's head. That's the camera that I'm talking about on the right-hand side. That's a camera that I'm referring to, and we are going to now take a look at him. And he is also the individual, as many of you pointed out, that was near Charlie or just before the assassination. But let's check out that footage of him in the immediate aftermath, kind of switching around the cameras, the two of them. Take a look.
Fireworks. Recording all this stuff.
Safety team is here. I just heard them say the active shooter, Charlie Kirk, has been shot. Charlie Kirk got hit, is what the security detail just said.
Don't worry, guys. We're going to get closer. This is just a wide shot so you can see what's going on here, and then we'll get a bit closer. I know you guys have pulled apart this footage a million ways, and thank you for that. And here's the closer version of that. You can see, slowed down here, he pulls out the chair. He stands on it, and yes, that would be a big no-no for a crime scene. You don't move anything. Yeah. He takes...
I do agree with her there. I do agree with her there. He should have used something else. Like 1,000% agree with her. I will say, though, that she can't judge harshly, which she's not, someone that is part of like the security industry, business, etc., who's trying to collect evidence for law enforcement, turning it over to law enforcement, which she did. Yeah, I do understand that could be looked at as tampering with evidence. I do agree with her there as well. I don't think he was coming from a bad place to do it. I think intent also should be factored in.
Down the camera that is directly above where Charlie was sitting and would be able to provide, therefore, a lot of insight. And then you can see he kind of sits the camera onto the desk, and it looks like he removes the SIM card from it, or the SD card, if you will, which we're watching right here. So I'm going when I saw this footage, who is that? Like, actually, I should be able to figure this out because I've got a pretty big network at Turning Point USA. The person's wearing shades. I'm not recognizing the individual. And I reach out to somebody on the inside and I'm just like, who's this person? And they tell me the person's name. And I go, oh, wait a second. And I look again. I'm like, I know this person. It's been a few years, but I know this person. This person's been around Turning Point for quite some time, for years. Like I said, back when I was working at Turning Point, early days. So I'm like, I'm just going to reach out. Obviously, I know this individual. I'm going to reach out and I'm going to say, hey, what's up with this? Where is this footage? Why did you do this? What were you doing up there on the rocks? What's up? Like, this is not the first thing I would do if I had just witnessed Charlie Kirk being shot.
But you're not him though, Candace.
And I'll say this right now. He was extremely forthcoming. Like, as soon as I reached out, I just sent a text because I still had his number. And he was extremely forthcoming, immediately got onto the phone. And first and foremost, I should say, obviously, he's seeing all these clips going viral and he is fearful for his family. He doesn't have any security and people are looking, you know? And he said, look, as you can see in the footage, I was sitting right to the left or to the left of Charlie when Charlie got shot. And I instantly knew that he was not going to be okay. I instantly knew that he was dead. And I then, like, as you can see, people that are running, anybody that was in that zone ran to the back and he caught his breath. He wanted to check in with and communicate to other people that were working with and around Turning Point USA. That's why he's on his phone, communicating to them what had happened. That's what he told me. Then I asked, okay, well, what about this camera thing? Why would you grab the cameras? And he says, because the first thing that I thought is that I better secure the footage and be helpful and hand that footage over to the feds. Well, obviously, that's where things get into a pickle with me because we don't trust the feds, right? I'm like, no, we don't trust the feds. We don't got to do that. Just let me have the footage. I'm like, just send me the footage, please.
See, this is a thing too, right? Like Candace is saying things like tamper with evidence or not provide evidence to law enforcement, which is obstruction of justice, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm not, like, I understand that Candace wants accountability and to look at everything, but even this is a little, like, respectfully speaking, again, I adore her. It's a little misguided and I don't recommend anyone do that. Maybe look at the footage because it's yours. Copying it, again, like that is obstruction of justice, keeping a copy for yourself. I mean, it is his property. So I don't know how the laws are in the US, but to absolutely provide it to law enforcement at a minimum. And if it's your property, then to absolutely protect it. Some things should be, well, depending on what it is, I guess, too, right? She's saying there was no gore. Where was I going with this as well? I had another point, but yeah, because like people have, it just reminded me of a story with a woman I knew who did project management for Airbnbs in Ottawa, cleaning and project management or property management. Sorry, not project management. Sorry, property management. And there was a young boy asleep. She thought might be dead, and there was drugs, and there was money, and there was so much stuff just laid out all over the place. And then she like went in and took photos and stuff like that. And then she like went into the bedrooms and she found like these like electronics devices and things like that. So she thinks they were also like involved in the like the scams, like the hacker scams, the spam and stuff like that you get on phones and text and email and stuff like that. Cyber crimes, whatever you want to call them, I don't know. And she took the phone and she's like, I'm the first person she thought of to call. And I'm just like, well, make sure that that you're safe. Make sure the child is safe. I'm like, so did you check vitals and things like that? And again, whatever. And so we ran through that. I'm like, you need to call the police. If you're too scared to go back in the house and stuff like that, I'm like, call the police right away. And because again, you have like a potential dead body in there of a child, like call that in. So she did that. And then she was nervous because she had told her property manager and she thinks that he may have knew that this like illegal stuff was going on and maybe getting a cut of it and stuff like that. And so she was sketched about that, but like she came immediately to my house and I'm like, make sure you're not followed. And I'm like, okay. But then she tells me while she's here that she has a freaking phone still. I'm like, you fucking idiot. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, you need to leave my house immediately. And you need to go to, it was Green Bank Road, the precinct there closest to her house. Give the phone to cops. Explain the situation. You already call the police and stuff like that. So they already know that you had filed a report. Your name's going to be on file, et cetera, et cetera. And so they're going to know that, that this is the reason why you have this phone and you just made a dumb mistake. And so things were fine after that. But yeah. But so if you report crimes to me, I'm giving it to law enforcement. I've said this before, countless cases where I've had friends or people that have shared information with me from all over the world just because of what I've been sharing for the last few years, and I take that stuff and I've given it to law enforcement in multiple different areas, including friends who are law enforcement, to get their feedback and input on things, and what if they can do anything, and so yeah, it has to be above board, guys and girls. Come on. Has to be above board. Yeah.
Let me look at it. There's a lot of conspiracies that are floating around right now. People don't know what to believe. People are doing very, what I would say, credible videos. People that certainly have the credibility are ballistics experts that are saying that what we see in the front is an exit wound, not an entry wound. I don't know one way or the other because I'm not an expert. I'm getting inundated with messages.
My assessment, people know my background, is that it was like the neck wound was an entrance wound, and because of the angle, and because we're not seeing any exit wounds yet on any footage that has been retrieved or collected that have been where you could see like behind Charlie once he was shot, and so it could have been lower and an exit wound lower in the body, and retrieved, or it could have been still inside of his body, somewhere like maybe in the chest cavity, like maybe lower. I don't know, but it could have went downwards instead of out, which is why we possibly don't see that exit wound. But I do think, and I could be wrong, that again, this was the Mauser, the correct hunting rifle. I do think that it was a 30-06. It sounded like a hunting rifle bullet. And I do think there's distinct differences between the sound of a pistol, a shotgun, a rifle, depending on the caliber, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm getting a lot of conspiracy theories, just like Candace is. And so even people showing me these like palm pistols and stuff like that, and then showing me who it might be. And then I'm having a screen capture because I'm looking at this frame by frame, and I'm showing both hands. You get, there's like no proof of any type of barrel or muzzle flash or anything. And she's like, well, no, it's underneath. And I'm like, if it was underneath and hidden, his hand would get shot off. His fingers would get shot off. Like, and people would notice that. And then I can look at the people beside him and around him. They're not responding to him. They don't see him as an immediate threat, right? And it would have been loud, and it would have been like, again, like in close proximity of the people around him. And there's no response where they are moving away from him as being the threat. So people need to take a look at that stuff. And then really go frame by frame. If you're going to give, especially someone like me, this information, I'm gonna tear it apart, or at least look at it, and so these conversations go back and forth all the time. So that one has been debunked to me as well, and there's a few others, but I've talked about them at length over the last several days.
From people that hunt, people that are in the military, saying that this had to come from another direction. This footage could help. If nothing else, let me help you. Let me formally debunk that by seeing this footage. Like, could you send this footage over to me? Well, he didn't want to send the footage over to me without checking with Turning Point lawyers. I said, look, technically, you own the footage. Like, you and some other people own the footage. Like, let me just see the footage, because why go through lawyers? Like, I just want to see the footage. And also, I asked the question, why not just release it? We've already seen the worst thing that you could possibly see from the front. That's right. Like, the front is what is a traumatizing video. And I understand that he wants to afford his wife some protection. Like, this has, to experience that, Erica, so many people watching the love of your life in the last second of their life, it's traumatizing. I'm traumatized by it, right? That's not my husband and the father of my children. And so out of a loyalty to Erica, he also doesn't want to give more footage to the internet. But I said, look, I'm not going to publish it. I just want to see it. And I think you should let me see that, because people trust me. They know that I'm very serious about this. I don't care about anything right now other than figuring out who killed Charlie Kirk. So in the short run, he agrees that rather than send the footage, he will get onto a FaceTime call with me and he will show me the footage on his computer. He did that, and I watched the footage, and I'm going to tell you what I saw. And to the people specifically, the people that are in the military, people that know weapons, I'm telling you this because you might be able to add more color or more clarity here. What you would expect to see if given the weapon that they have said did this, the bullet they have said did this. I don't know anything about any of this, so I'm just telling you what I saw. Okay.
Yeah. And that's fair. So that's why I gave the assessment a little bit too soon. I should have waited till after she said this, because I do have military background and experience, and firearms experience. And so I'm just giving my assessment. I could be wrong, but that was my, especially within like the first 2-3 days, that was my assessment. And then further reinforced the more I looked into it, the more evidence that was collected.
Foremost, there was nothing gory about this shot at all. And so again, I am still going to work with him to get me the footage so that I think it should be shared. There's nothing gory about this footage from the back. The thing that really stood out to me, and I just kept asking him to replay it over and over and over again, is that there's no blood. There's no blood from the back. There is no blood. So I think a lot of people were wondering whether or not that bullet pierced and went out to the back. I think I vaguely even remember, and Skylar, you can maybe live look this up, but like I thought the feds were saying they were looking for a bullet at some point, which is now very alarming to me. I don't understand that. How could they have been looking for a bullet? Because if I'm not seeing, and there isn't, I'm telling you, what happens in the front is not what happened in the back at all. If I'm not seeing any blood, what are we to take from that? The only thing that could make sense, if what they're saying is true and that person took the shot from the place that they're saying that individual took the shot from, it would suggest that it was inside of Charlie, right? And they would know that. The Fed would have known that. So they would have communicated that they were never looking for a bullet. Because remember, one shot. So I'm very confused. I'm very confused, not by what I saw, but what I didn't see. Okay? That's pretty much all I can tell you right now. And I am going to try to get all of the footage. And I understand that right now he is very fearful, but I am going to continue to try to privately push him to just release it. I believe that transparency is the only way. I'm much more, I think all of us would agree, I have much more trust in the people than I do in the feds. The feds are lying about everything, so they should not be the only people that have access to this. And I understand not wanting to have that relived from another angle, but given the fact that there is no gore and there is no blood from this angle, I don't see why not. And so that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I know some of you guys were insinuating. I got a lot of emails that it could have been a flechette. I had to look that up. I don't even know what that is. I was like, guys, I don't know anything. Flechette shells, that something could have been a lot closer that hit him and that everything else could have been a distraction. All I can tell you is that there's no blood. That's it. There is no blood in that video. So give me your thoughts on that. Now I want to get to another tip that I received that is pretty interesting because, look, as you guys know, when I began investigating this assassination, at no point did I ever speculate that any other country was involved. I never speculated that Israelis were involved. So it was surprising, to say the least, that they're simply pretending that I did, pretending that I blamed Israel, pretending that I said Bibi Netanyahu killed Charlie Kirk. It is now, like I said yesterday, it feels like they are trying to get ahead of something, like they know more than we know. I don't know why you would say something or accuse somebody of saying something that they didn't. I do believe that there's very clearly, we all believe there's very clearly a government level conspiracy that is involved. Okay, there's no other way to assess those disasters.
So, and this is where I've gone down so many rabbit holes with the JFK assassination, with so many other different events, and have given my assessment where I do believe that there were people within the highest levels of government involved in this, including Lyndon B. Johnson, the Dulles brothers, et cetera, et cetera. I will say that there are people that are sponsors and donors that work and hang out within the same circles and communities as the steering committees that are funding philanthropy groups, organizations, and foundations that I've talked about for literally years, and NGOs, et cetera, and protesters, organized protesters that are designed to cause division and disruption and paint other groups or ideologies as evil and dehumanize, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because of this, there is that's the direct impact there and influence. And then you have the indirect, where you have people that get further radicalized within sub communities where there's a lot of isolation and mental health issues, et cetera, going on, and radicalization at a very young age, very much indoctrination and brainwashing happening, unfortunately, that it's really hard for law enforcement and intelligence agencies, et cetera, to get a grip on, especially now that it's happening more and more at accelerated rates. And we just don't have the capacity built in where they're able to have the same amount of law enforcement agencies, intelligence agencies, et cetera, and employees to manage that piece, right? Including the people doing covert operations, people in the underground, part of these communities, just trying to keep an eye out on it, et cetera, and collect information. But he was part of Tyler Robinson. He was radical. It's very clear. And this is another thing. The FBI, they walked it back. They said that, it was part of trans ideology, like radical trans ideology is what I mean to say by that. Radical trans ideology. And then they walked that back because they don't want to target groups, to cause more harm to people or property, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that they're just trying to temper emotions within the U.S. I think Kash Patel, unfortunately, is saying things and getting more involved publicly than he should be doing. And I think it's because he was a friend. He admired Charlie Kirk, I believe. But again, it seems to me like why do you need to be in the spotlight on this? Like, why is it not the lead investigator that has way more access to information and can answer questions than you can, respectfully speaking, right? And there needs to be an unbiased lens, is what I'm saying. Like for this this whole investigation process, it should be a small group of people that are the ones that are collating, gathering all of the evidence and data, reviewing all of it, or as much of it as possible. Again, like a small group of people, and then other people assisting them as well. For that piece. And so, not only on its Discord pages, but video game platforms as well. You saw that Destiny was on video game platforms. It's very violent, very graphic, and there are people very much who are far left that are within these communities that are having these conversations with each other, and then it gets more extreme, and then there's sidebar conversations, and then there's people meeting and organizing and planning. This is literally happening. Like even Queers with Guns organizations and communities where people within the far left communities are all promoting and supporting and enabling other people within their communities to get guns as well. And then you've got the anti-fascist narrative that's groomed into it, and anti-capitalist, and it's a recipe for mental health issues. And I was going to share a video on it, but I just wanted to the Bella Chow. So I do encourage. I know that she's looking through like a lot of stuff that people are sharing with her, but like really look into like the bullets and what was engraved in them. I've been doing that for days. I've shared 2 with the OWA, what that meant within the far left community, and again, it's a very, very small part of the LGBTQ plus IA XYZ community, and then not even just like the notices bulge, the Bella Chow Bella. This is also in the underground Discord communities that is referenced, and in video games referenced, violent video games. Tyler Robinson had over 1,000 hours logged for Call of Duty. He was playing other violent video games. And I do think, and so this as well with the terminology and the verbiage, like I've said before, he might not have the average 20-something-year-old man/boy's vernacular, but he's not the average normal boy having normal average conversations with normal healthy human beings. And so we can't expect or subscribe or diagnose normal behavior and vernacular to someone that's not normal. And again, like there's a lot of terminology that could be learned with these tactical games, these Call of Duty games, these military games, these law enforcement games. They want to make it as realistic as possible. And so, and again, when you're playing these for hours on end, for days and years, again, like this has to do something to your friggin' brain. But you also memorize the verbiage. And so using things like retrieve and vehicle, et cetera, within these communities, I don't see that as abnormal. And my love and things like that, if he's looking at the anti-fascist movements and romanticizing it, which it sounds like he was doing, which other people, again, it's a very small fringe minority within that group as well. So easier to like filter through is what I'm saying, and investigate. But people should be looking at that and looking at Chow Bella. Where does that come from? Like, are there areas of concern? So I went on YouTube, for example, and I just typed in Chow Bella, and I looked at a more recent video, and this was from 2019. There's ones from many years ago. There's more recent ones, but I just wanted to choose this one. And so Bella Ciao, Goodbye Beautiful, is an Italian folk song that was adopted as an anthem of the anti-fascist resistance. It was used by the Italian partisans during the Italian Civil War between 1943 and 1945 in their struggle against the fascist Italian socialists, and the Nazi German allies. Nazis were also socialists, the National Socialist. Anyways, Bella Ciao is used worldwide as an anti-fascist hymn of freedom and resistance. The song has much older origins, though, in the hardships of the Mondina women, the paddy field workers in the late 19th century who sang it as a protest against harsh working conditions in the paddy fields in North Italy.
Stamattina mi sono alzato, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Stamattina mi sono alzato e ho trovato l'invaso. Oh partigiano, portami via, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Partigiano, portami via, che mi sento di morire. E se io muoio da partigiano, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. E se muoio da partigiano, tu mi devi seppellire e seppellire lassù in montagna. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 seppellire lassù in montagna, sotto l'ombra di un bel fior. Tutte le genti che passeranno, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 e le genti che passeranno ti diranno che bel fior, e questo è il fiore del partigiano. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 questo è il fiore del partigiano.
So partisan can have different interpretations in different areas. And so for partisan, a pike with a long tapering double-edged blade with lateral projections, 16th and 17th centuries. Number 2, this is more applicable maybe. An ardent and enthusiastic supporter of some person or activity or cause, like anti-fascism, etc., these movements. A fervent and even militant proponent of something. So that's number 3, partisan. A fervent and even militant proponent of something. That's very interesting. So the meaning of partisan is a firm adherent to a party, faction, cause, or person, especially one exhibiting blind, prejudiced, and unreasoning allegiance. No shit. No shit. Okay, so a member of a body of detached light troops making forays and harassing an enemy. Peasant partisans assaulted the French army. That's an example they're giving. A member of a guerrilla band operating within enemy lines. Polish partisans had blown up 2 trains. Springfield, Massachusetts. Anyway. So, yeah. A member of a guerrilla band operating within enemy lines. Partisan, a feeling showing or deriving from strong and sometimes blind adherence to a particular party, faction, cause, or person, exhibiting, characterized by, or resulting from partisanship. Secularism is indeed correlated with greater tolerance of gay marriage and pot legalization, but it's also making America's partisan clashes more brutal. Peter Beinart. Partisan, let's see. Someone who supports one part or party. Sometimes the support takes the form of military action. Well, if you're a communist socialist, you shouldn't be even having a military or organized resistance. I'm playing this video because know what people are listening to and watching if you want to get to understand their motives better.
morto per la libertà. Questo è il fiore del partigiano, morto per la libertà. Questo è il fiore del partigiano, morto per la libertà. Questo è il fiore.
It's all military stuff in the background. So what else was there? All right.
Carne asada is back.
So these people think they're literally fighting Nazis and Nazi ideology. Left and right, the most extremes always fighting against each other. Yes, there are people that are far right that say, extreme things about the far left, but there are more people on the far left that are proponents, supporters of violent protest, whereas 3% of people on the far right support political violence. 24% on the far left, 3% on the far right. So we have to look at that. 8 times more likely to commit violence for political motivation. So again, this is all military stuff. Yeah, so then you get into this victim hero mentality. Just wild. An internet emotion representing a cute, curious, or surprised face. So an emoji, I think they call them, with the O's and I's as the W as a mouth. Often used in online communities like the furry fandom. It can also refer to a specific haptic technology for virtual reality. Games that provide physical sensations through electrical pulses. The term gained notoriety after being found inscribed on a bullet casing in connection with an assassination attempt. Not an assassination attempt. In September 2020, it wasn't an attempt. It happened. An assassination of Charlie Kirk. Fucking Google, man. They love to censor anything that shows any real information regarding the right. So frustrating sometimes.
Asterisk text messages. Absolute disaster of a Fed operation with those messages. Yesterday, I pretty casually mentioned to you guys something, that the doorbell cam footage, which TMZ happened upon somehow, was from a street upon which a ton of employees that work for Caldera Engineering live. We showed you, I think, 1 or 2 of those employees, the husband and wife I had mentioned, worked for Caldera Engineering, and it is a country that purports to manufacture valves. And I said this, I said, I know nothing about the valve industry. All I know is that every time I start investigating a government conspiracy or looking into people that are really shady, like Harley Pasternak, thus far 3 people who I've investigated who oddly, either them or their families had backgrounds working in this very niche valve and piping industry, like manufacturers of valves and pipes. Like, is everybody doing that? This is very strange. Well, many of you emailed me something that was quite surprising. Maybe I'm just ignorant, but they let me know that this is a very niche industry. And by niche, I mean that you asserted that it implies major government contracts, likely the CIA. Those of you who have worked at those industries telling me that there are even certain valves that are exclusively manufactured in Israel, and that they tend to be involved in this. The government and the military tend to be involved in this. And that even, by the way, on Caldera's website, they noted that they have worked in Israel. They have a map that they note every country that they have done engineering projects in. And one of them or 2 dots are in Israel. And somebody explained why the government gets involved when it comes to valves and piping. And I'm just going to read you this email because maybe there are people at home who are just as ignorant as I am about government level engineering. Okay. This person wrote, "Hi, Candace. I wanted to share some detailed information regarding valves, piping, and their relevance to critical infrastructure and intelligence communities. Valves as critical infrastructure assets. Modern industrial valves are used in pipelines, water treatment plants, power plants, and chemical facilities, are often automated and networked, forming part of operational technology and SCADA systems. This allows remote monitoring and control of the flow of gas, oil, water, and chemicals. Cybersecurity implications. These valves are part of systems that could be targeted for cyber attacks. Compromised valves can cause pipeline ruptures, water contamination, or industrial accidents. Because of this, intelligence and regulatory agencies, the CISA, NSA, PHMSA, FERC, monitor valve networks and may maintain trusted relationships with manufacturers and engineers to ensure security and resilience. Integration with above ground systems. Modern valve networks can also integrate with cameras, sensors, alarms, and environmental monitoring. This means that an operator could simultaneously monitor flow, view live video, and respond to alarms, which enhances both security and operational oversight. And strategic value for intelligence communities. Knowledge of valve locations, models, and control systems provide insight into critical infrastructure vulnerabilities. Access to or relationships with manufacturers allows agencies to monitor, assess, and secure supply chains. Remote monitoring of valves and integrated systems can support emergency response simulations and national security exercises. And then they provide us with a real-world context by writing companies like Caldera Engineering in Provo, Utah, manufacture specialized industrial valves and control systems. While no public evidence currently links them to intelligence contracts, their products could theoretically be part of OT systems monitored by government agencies due to the critical nature of the infrastructure that they serve. In short, valves themselves are simple mechanical devices, but when networked and embedded in critical infrastructure, they become strategically important for monitoring security and intelligence purposes. That just sounds right to me. That, I mean, I'm telling you, when every story, I'm like, what is this person? It's like their families in valve. Like, I mean, I don't know anybody whose family did this. I don't know. Again, like this is the kind of stuff that like we don't know, but we know, and that hit. And I feel like there is a bigger piece of this that involves Caldera. And like I said, I perceive a government conspiracy. You'd be a fool not to see a government conspiracy here, especially with the way that I am being attacked for simply trying to investigate this. And the attacks are growing frantic. It's almost as if they all received an email from somebody who said, I don't care what you say, make it up out of thin air, and do not stop attacking Candace Owens. That is the loudest. It's like an alarm went off. And everyone, people that I thought I was friends with, are coming after me with obscene lies that are just so easily fact-checked. So easily, you can debunk them in 4 seconds on the internet, and they're delivering it as though it's honest. We're going to talk about that. I was even surprised PBD. I mean, I've always been friendly with him. I've always been kind to him. I have nothing wrong to him. And he seems to be kind of, he's the one who platformed without any pushback, Eric Bolling. And I have an idea about why all of that may be. I'll tell you in just a second. First, I want to remind you guys about GNO land, because what if smart contract platforms were not controlled by the elites or big tech? What if they were built by and for real builders, you know, the people? That's the question that GNO land asked, and that's why they built GNO land. They started with Golang, which is a language real-world developers already use, and they built a new platform around it. It's transparent, it's intuitive, and it just makes sense. There's not some confusing system of ones and zeros. It's open source, so imagine GitHub, but designed for on-chain collaboration and composability. Builders actually get credit for their work and they get rewarded. So every time that their code gets used, that's the real value. It's not likes, there's not clout, it's actual rewards. GNO land rejected proof of stake, which is a system where the rich run the show. They went instead with proof of authority, a DAO where contributors and not bad actors or Silicon Valley actually call the shots. GNO.land is open, it's fair, and honestly, it's pretty unstoppable. So if you are a builder, a freedom lover, or just tired of rigged platforms, please check it out over at gno.land/Candace. Again, that's gno.land/Candace. Now, I've watched too many people who I am close to be vilified for standing up for the truth. I have felt the sting of injustice myself, but I've also felt something else, which is courage. I'm done playing defense. I'm not going to water down what I believe to be palatable, because silence is not kindness at all. It's consent in many ways. And right now, the greatest silence is around the lives that are being ended before they take their first breath. If we're going to call ourselves defenders of life, then we have to act like that. That's why I'm asking you guys to join me to fight back with action, with truth, with love. For just $28, that is what it costs to give a free ultrasound to a woman that's in crisis and considering an abortion. You can help her to see the life that is growing inside of her and to give her truth that the culture won't. So don't sit this out. Do not wait for permission. Be bold, be clear, be unapologetic in your pro-life stance. Go to preborn.org/Candace right now. Give $28. Give 10 times that if you can, actually, because this is the line and it's time to stand on it. We must stand for truth and what is right. We must save lives from abortion and stand firm in the gospel. Again, that is preborn.org/Candace to provide an ultrasound for just $28. Also telling you guys about the wellness company because it is flu season, which means that it's also flu shot season. After everything that we've been through over the last 5 years, the number of people getting flu shots is at a record low. I'm so grateful for that. Not to mention the fact that according to the CDC's own data, the flu shot is only moderately effective at best, and that's not even accounting for vaccine injuries. There is a much better way to stay healthy. Grab a contagion emergency kit from the wellness company. If you wake up with a sore throat or runny nose, address your symptoms immediately with a doctor-prescribed kit containing ivermectin only. Okay, all right, so let's get into how weird these headlines are getting. It's very strange. And I think we know why it's happening. We obviously know why it's happening. But even the publications that are usually not so blatant, because in order to be a propagandist, you want to be effective, right? You got to like lie a little and get people to believe you, not just do things that are just so nakedly deceptive that people go, okay, why am I even reading this publication? Well, the Daily Mail put out this headline about me. I can't even like this. Look at this journalist, Victoria Churchill, who reached out. She writes, Candace Owens rages after being snubbed from the Charlie Kirk Memorial speaking roster. When did this happen? Like, the lying here is actually making me uncomfortable. I told you yesterday that we received way too many emails about Charlie's memorial. All of them were asking specifically for me to confirm that I was going. Didn't feel good to me. It felt very inauthentic. I know these journalists are not my friends. I knew they were writing hit pieces, but all of them included that question. Did you, like, are you going? Are you going to go? Like, you want me to confirm my attendance so that you know where I'm going to be ahead of time? Am I being paranoid? Or does that seem like a little weird? Even on PBD's show, where he just gives a platform to a guest to completely lie for 2 minutes straight, there is this random second where PBD rather oddly says something along the lines of, you don't think she's going to the funeral? Like, they keep talking about this. Take a listen again.
At some point, her credibility, I mean, is going to go down the tubes because she needs to bring receipts. Bill Ackman brought receipts. How long was that tweet?
It's still going. I think
he was there in
Ron's
the
still reading
room.
it.
Andrew Colbert was there in the room. You're on the board of Turning Point?
Yeah.
Okay. When's the last time you saw Candace Owens?
In person?
Yeah.
2015,
Oh, wow.
2016.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
When's the last time she was at a Turning Point event?
Not in many years.
Okay.
But
So let's
you don't
without
have to do
even
this,
being
Adam.
biased.
There's
Candace even involved in Charlie Kirk's life at all?
no question proof that Candace Owens has nothing to do. She would be in a perfect world if they didn't have this. What I already know was a very quiet breakup where she got too rabbit hole for him. She would be the logical heir to the TPUSA throne, but she's not.
And now she's not even invited.
Correct. So this is so their divide is.
Wait a minute, not invited meaning
She's not even there.
Yeah, she's not
there.
one of the names.
What, you don't think she'll be at the funeral?
No.
That's
I mean,
not the funeral.
The heir to the
okay.
TPUSA throne.
She doesn't speak at the events anymore.
I mean,
Okay, so first and foremost, why did they all want to know if I was going to this event? I said there was no way we are going to this event now. There's a 0% chance. First and foremost, why are you saying anybody can go to it? You just buy a ticket to the event, and you're all working to try to get me to confirm that I'm going. And you're doing this as if you're trying to like push my buttons and be like, we got to make her get into her ego so she like shows up and like posts it on social media. Nope, actually, while I'm attacking the feds, maybe not going to a public event, which the feds are organizing, is probably a very good idea. I'm good. I'm going to listen to Power on my headphones and go see Ye. How's that for a memorial for Charlie Kirk? That feels like the right thing for me to do right now. I mean, I'm not going to this memorial because it's strange. To lie like this is very strange. For context, just so you can realize how odd this is, I spoke at Turning Point's conference, 2 conferences last year. It's so easily, like I said, debunkable that you have to ask yourself why they are saying it. Here is me speaking on Turning Point USA stage last year. And here's what I said, by the way, which got Charlie in a lot of trouble.
Well, let me tell you something, America. It does feel so good to go everywhere in the world and to realize that there's awakening, not just happening here. Let me tell you guys, it's happening all across the globe. People are starting to ask the hard questions. And you start getting close when they start to call you names. They instantly want to suggest that there's something wrong and there's something backwards about being America first. You're starting to hear the way they're framing that now. When you say you're America first, they'll ask you, what do you mean you're America first? Do you mean that you're an isolationist? Do you believe that we shouldn't have did what we did during World War II? All of these things trying to pollute it. It's not that difficult. America first. First name America, last name first. We put this country's interests before the interests of foreign countries overseas. All of them. I don't care.
Yeah, I kind of went on and on, but it was kind of me saying, especially since 3 months earlier, I had gotten fired from the Daily Wire, like, Israel, you're not special. And yeah, Charlie got in trouble for the stuff that I said on stage. And then they came inward. I told that I was not allowed to speak at AmFest. The donors were making threats. But like, I went on tour with Turning Point last year. It's so on their website. It's so, this is like the strangest thing. We could pull up this website. Live Free Tour, Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens. Quiet breakup. Why are we doing this? It's very strange. Here's all the places that we went to last year. Now they are pushing these headlines that are so far beyond the realm of reality, like the one that I just showed you, where they say that I'm angry. And then when you look into who's writing these articles, like Victoria Churchill, you note that she has a connection to AIPAC. So AIPAC is pushing this, right? The answer is implied by the people who are attacking me. They're all ultra-Zionists, right? Like I said, the author of that article is an ultra-Zionist. And here she is, starting off 2018 in DC, and she's got a picture of herself. You can scroll down, I don't know if you can see this, like sitting in the audience.
It's not just ultra-Zionists or radical Zionists that are questioning some of the materials that Candace has put out in the last few years. People have been questioning her her stance on Brigitte Macron, possibly being Jean-Michel Trudeau, about her stance on like several different things, about her stances on evolution, on dinosaurs, on space, on so many different things, right? There's people that are questioning this. I do agree with a lot of things that she shares, but she does also share. She's an open book, but she shares like information sometimes that, you know, it's how it's delivered to. It's not going to be taken seriously.
In APAC, and she's thrilled.
I'm guilty of that too.
America, Israel. It's like all of these people are agents for a foreign country. And I feel like Bibi Netanyahu is spending a lot of money right now. He is just way too involved, concerned about Turning Point USA, the future of Turning Point USA, attacking Candace Owens. And I think something sinister is going on here. How can you not see that? I also want to say this. I have had a flood of Turning Point employees reach out to me, maybe because he says she would have been the natural heir to Turning Point USA. I'm not trying to be the heir to Turning Point USA. I kind of like my life. I don't want to take money from donors, okay? Because they do what they did to Charlie. They're not donating money to charity because they view it as a charity. They do it because they want to purchase your voice. That's it. And I don't want to give mine up. But what these people are telling me is a very dark story that involves these donors, sponsors, influencers, a takeover of sorts that I think was happening right under.
Even this with like, again, I've called out some things that Ben Shapiro have shared that are complete misinformation and propaganda at the worst possible times. And I'm talking specifically one example that I called out right from the beginning. Again, this is just to show context here. The AI generated images, what he alleged were burned babies, which were in fact AI generated photos from the internet. And but I don't think that he had anything to do with this awful tragedy that happened. I do genuinely think that he cared about Charlie Kirk and Bill Ackman as well. He's shared like a lot of he's shared a lot of receipts that show that they didn't have a toxic relationship, and they might not have agreed on certain things. It might have been heated debates, just like Candace has had as well with countless people, and myself as well. Things can get heated when you're talking about things that you're very passionate about and very informed about. But I don't see it, right? There are unfortunately indirect repercussions of creating a Universe 25 and just trying to do some kind of human behavioral experiment on the masses, right? With what they're doing with the ideological shifts in extreme ways. Anyway.
Charlie's knows, and I want to say this formally as we keep investigating this. I believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by people who are close to him. Based on what I have seen thus far, the evidence, the quote-unquote receipts that require a way deeper investigation into the apparatus, the financial apparatus at Turning Point, there was definitely some weird activity leading up to this moment happening at the organization, and I've been able to verify it. I have been given names, and I intend to now embark on this lengthier investigation, which I need more help on. I've reached out to some journalists. I'm sharing the information with them, and I think we're going to discover that this was ugly. Uglier than we could have ever imagined, okay? There is a fear here that we are all perceiving, a desperation almost to end the investigation. The smears are becoming radical. You can't just pretend Candace hasn't spoken to Charlie Kirk in years, but they're doing it. And they're trying to be convincing and shocked and putting this out. I've never stopped talking to Charlie. I mean, yesterday I released just one of many messages that I have with Charlie, which prove that he was, in the months leading up to this, concerned about Israel and how Israel was coming after our free speech. Free speech meant a lot to him, right? This message is from May. We can pull it back up, right? Charlie sent me his tweet because after the assassination of Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lachinsky in DC, people were calling for like hate speech laws. And Charlie, authored a long tweet saying these were beautiful people. They had their lives ahead of them. But I must push back against one thing. And again, it was just the justification that this somehow meant that we had to, get rid of free speech. Like suddenly like, oh, well, this happened. So now we need to say free speech is wrong. And so I wrote back to him and I said, great tweet. And he gave prayer hands. And I said, speech censorship is coming to America. And he wrote back, as you can see, and the date here is May 22nd of this year. It totally is. Okay.
I do like that she shared that tweet. Because again, like she's showing the receipts that she's getting smeared on PBD, but I think they're correcting it more. They are getting a lot of grief from Candace fans. Like I even saw it live yesterday. I was watching PBD and Candace supporters were holding them to task on a lot of different things that were being said that was misinformation. And she's already showed the receipts on that. She was at Turning Point USA speaking last year, and she was in communication with Charlie like within the last 9 years. As was alleged wasn't a thing. There could have been a quiet breakup over, not a breakup, but like a cooling, because so she was getting a lot. No, I don't even buy that. Like Candace was like huge, even in May and stuff like that. Her Brigitte diaries and so much, right? So, but did they want to align with what she was pushing? I don't know.
Me and Megan and Tucker are not lying to you. Charlie was concerned about the speech, that he felt the restrictions. And inevitably, this happens when you get into bed with Israel. You can't criticize them at all, as Megan said, before you start enduring threats. And what I've learned from the employees there is that back in May, Turning Point had some big changes, some odd changes, as they are describing it to me, certain departments, people that were being fired, people that were told that they had to keep certain things a secret. Secret from whom? Secret from whom? Something is not right. Nothing we are being told is true. And the strangest thing is that Pam Bondi, who is a complete loser and a tool, is trying to use the assassination of Charlie Kirk to lay the groundwork for hate speech laws in America. The very thing that Charlie was fighting against. They all just got right to work trying to pass laws. Well, Charlie Kirk is actually, now we got hate speech is something. Exactly what he's messaging me about that he doesn't want to happen. They're trying to use his death to justify. Listen to what Pam Bondi said to Katie Miller on her podcast. Take a listen.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech.
No.
And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Pam.
Do you
She's gone
see
downhill even
more
worse
law
than
enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you.
We'll target you, go after you for hate speech. Charlie was against hate speech. So I do have Candace's back on that as well. He would have not wanted that at all. And so maybe it's because during COVID, because of me being unvaccinated and very public about it and very vocal and within my community, I emailed so many people that were in government. And my life was threatened. My life was threatened many times. I was targeted. I was attacked. I was trolled. I was swatted. Like you fucking name it. Sorry for swearing. It just like even just bringing back those periods. It was awful. I wasn't able to travel, do my work, see my family, so many different things, and go to the gym, go to restaurants, this, that, you name it. And I lost so much money with contracts and contract opportunities because it was international travel. And and so I don't wish that on anyone. And so getting a little emotional, I don't know why. But anyways, I mean, because what we're talking about is obviously it's unfortunate. It's sad, it's tragic. It shouldn't have happened. But it doesn't mean that I want people to like have their lives ruined over this. If they've been publicly inciting violence and celebrating the murder and death of Charlie Kirk, I think that's absolutely disgusting behavior, and people need to be held accountable for that. But does it mean firing people in all circumstances? No. It's definitely a gray area. People like Jimmy Kimmel, I think like even for the last 4 years, I think he should have been fired. He said some awful, disgusting things, and he has a lot of influence on a lot of different people. And what he was sharing was it was not helping, by the way. It was a lot of lies and misinformation that actually ended up causing a lot more harm than good towards people. And but firing is one thing. That's it. Like, I don't think jail for this stuff, like any of that stuff for these cases, or for people to be targeted or trolled or any of that stuff. And I think a lot of people that are unvaccinated and that was speaking out against COVID, I think that they're on the same page as me, because like for them as well, it was a really hard time. I've given countless stories of people that I know, like Helen Bruce and someone else I can't mention, who was pregnant while she was kicked out with over 20 years service to Canada in the Army as an officer, divorce and everything, because of just how divided people became on that topic regarding COVID. And still like dealing with like all the ramifications for everything that happened and the fallout. And they think what happened to Charlie Kirk is absolutely horrendous, but they would never consider to be nothing but loving and peaceful. These are people that believe in God. Both these people I'm talking about in my head, like these are Christian women, Catholic women. And they were trolled and threatened and targeted and attacked and vilified and suspended and charged. Still in the courts.
You are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything, and that's across the aisle.
So to be clear, that's the feds telling you that they want to pass speech laws, which will basically just give them the full power to go after you for wrongthink. Okay. And they're doing it in the most disturbing way ever by going after Charlie Kirk's legacy and using his assassination to say, oh, well, now we've got to pass, we've got to get hate speech done, which, by the way, who was the person and the leader who said that he was passing laws against speech in America? That was Bibi Netanyahu. Okay, years ago, on record, saying that he was working with the government of America, and any person that criticized Israel would find themselves on the wrong side of the law. Okay, you can find that clip of him saying that. And now what's happening? Well, we have an occupied administration. There's no question. Trump is occupied by Zionists. Okay, he's completely impotent. He's completely powerless. He cannot say anything that goes against Israel or Bibi Netanyahu. He's letting them do whatever they want. No pushback whatsoever. It's very clear Bibi is in control, and his administration is saying that. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But this was the plan, okay? This was the plan. And we have to stand up to this, guys. We have to fight this tooth and nail. The reason they're doing this, obviously, is because they can't win in the free markets. People are, as Megan said, people that are under 30 are anti-Israel. So that means the future of America is anti-Israel. So what they're going to try to do is to pass speech laws, Bolshevik speech laws. They're going to arrest us for saying that we don't support Israel. Something that Charlie was passionately against, okay? And we can show you next week clips of him hosting the debate about speech and Israel and whether or not everything was anti-Semitism. And he was very clear in his perception that this was going to increase anti-Semitism, trying to pass speech laws or leaving people anti-Semites by criticizing Bibi Netanyahu. It's all out there, and they're lying to you. Am I wrong am I cynical for believing that, yeah, the feds are obviously lying, and I would say at some level, in a very big way, were involved in the death of Charlie because they wanted this sort of radical way to push through laws. When something chaotic happens, we usually turn to the government. I mean, 9/11, what did we do? We gave them so much power, right? The Patriot Act. Do whatever, just keep me safe. It's like they see your emotion, they see this global emotion, and they want you to just agree with them that the next step is more power for the government. And this time we're saying no. No, Pam Bondi. No, thank you. Genuinely, why are you in office? How can this administration pretend that they are the same administration that they were in 2016 that were fighting against this? The same administration that was going, oh, well, the George Floyd death, radical Dems, BLM, speech laws. It was wrong when the left did it. And it's wrong now that the right is doing it, which leads me to believe that we are fighting opposite sides of the same coin. It's us versus them, the elites versus the rest of us. That's it. Everything else is a mirage. And speaking of free speech, I want to speak about Jimmy Kimmel because he has been pulled off air indefinitely over his comments in the aftermath of Charlie's assassination. So let's take a listen to what Jimmy Kimmel said on his show.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. There's demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
Okay, so that's what he said. Whether or not you think it was a insensitive joke, okay, I don't think that would have been the justification for saying that he now needs to donate to charity and lose his whole life. And this is what happened. He's taken off air, and some people are saying, hey, Candace, they did this to us. And you're not wrong, right? If you are on the right and you are saying that when the whole George Floyd thing happened, people lost their jobs for saying sensible things or making a joke, you are correct. Like, you are right to say, yes, that absolutely did happen. But if you're not recognizing that when you just flip the coin, it's the same people that are gaining more power, I just want the attacks on free speech to stop, okay? I want the reaction, if you're angry about what Jimmy Kimmel said, is for the free markets to take him out, right? He doesn't have a show because nobody's watching him anymore because they're so disgusted by what he said. Exactly. That's what I want. I want us to be in control,
exactly,
right? Of where we spend our dollars, of what we're saying, and not like the government to press a button and say, you lose everything because we don't like what you said. And it should be noted, by the way, that in the same monologue, he did call the murder senseless. The day that it happened, Jimmy Kimmel posted a message on Instagram sending love to the Kirk family, to the victims of gun violence. He posted, instead of the angry finger pointing, can we just for one day agree that it's horrible and monstrous to shoot another person? On behalf of my family, we send love to the Kirks and to all the children, parents, and innocents who fall victim to senseless gun violence. You wouldn't have thought that he had posted that in terms of everyone that were just like stripping him of everything. I want to be clear. I don't like Jimmy Kimmel, right? I think he is a part of the radical left. The people that are constantly shouting, I don't like him at all. But I'm just recognizing that our solution to being angry at each other always seems to be, let's give the government more power, right? Let's give the government more power. And that's what happened here, okay? The chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, Brendan Carr, jumped up and he criticized Jimmy Kimmel's remarks. He threatened federal action against ABC affiliates who carried the show. What? Federal action if you carry the Jimmy Kimmel show? Does that seem right to you? Okay? Again, if you're on the right and you cheer this on, do you understand? We never, ever, ever should be applauding federal action when it comes to speech. Okay? We're all losing. We are all losing. You have to wake up. But that's what happened. Brendan Carr of the FCC was joining Benny Johnson, and that's what he said, that he absolutely wants to make sure that people are not carrying this show anymore, and that after, you know, one of the mergers that they did, I just see the same people are constantly being empowered. And I want to point that out to you because you have to be more conscious of that. It's like they use our emotions, left versus right, to manipulate all of us. And it's completely wrong. And it's completely crazy. And they're also calling for him to make a meaningful personal donation to the Kirk family and Turning Point USA. What? That's a shakedown. That's what they did to Kyrie Irving. I don't like what you said. Donate to the Holocaust Museum. What? I can't cheer this on, guys. I'm sorry. I can't cheer this on because I don't like it. I know for a fact, as I just showed you, that this was Charlie's fear.
I think he should have been fired 4 years ago, but he wasn't. I don't think the things that he have shared recently warrant him getting fired. But I mean, this guy should be deplatformed, but it should be based on platformed or deplatformed based on merit. And this guy's been sharing a lot of propaganda, a lot of misinformation for many years, and he's been very inappropriate. So like, And again, his viewership was going down, right? Like his contract was up for renegotiation, I believe, in the next few months, anyways. And the viewership was not there. It's finally, and the View as well. They're gonna like blame it on Trump, and they're gonna blame it on cancel culture, et cetera, et cetera. No, it's because you guys suck at giving actual, real content. People are dumber when they listen to the View. This is an actual fact, because they spread so much hate and misinformation and propaganda, and it's so one-sided and fringe and radical in a lot of cases that it's just it's nonsensical. And yeah, rich entitled elitists.
The government coming in on speech. That's what's happening right now. They're taking over our speech under the guise of fighting hate. TikTok, by the way. Did you guys see this? Israel's pretty much taking over TikTok. There's no other way to say it. Mark Andreessen in on a deal with, I think it's a Silver Capital. What is it? Not Silver Lake. They're all coming together, and we knew this was going to happen. This whole fake canceled TikTok. No, TikTok was going pro-Palestine, and a bunch of hedge fund people who are pro-Israel got involved. Trump pretended that he was going to rescue speech. No, he's handing it over to Israel. Okay, wake up. You're a Trump supporter. Wake up. Okay, he has handed so much over to Israel, and he's about to hand over the keys to our speech. All that aside,
it's, to me, it's not to Israel. That's what they're lying about. Like that's the cover story, so to speak. But a lot of the money that's being provided to what they're saying is to Israel. It's in support of what I believe to be war crimes and genocide happening. So these military, pharmaceutical, industrial tech companies are the ones that are getting the majority of that money. And then they have to get restockpiled, et cetera. And because they're linked to national defense and international defense, they get a lot of money by the government as well. Already on top of that. And so there's a lot of issues that are happening within the U.S. that people are talking about, like what happened in Lahaina, East Palestine, hurricanes, fires, et cetera, where that money could have been invested there because it's taxpayers' dollars and it's expected. And billions of dollars are going again to fund what people believe are atrocities committed by the leadership within Israel, which is Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, and these radical Zionists who have taken way more land than legal. And anyways, there's so much that I've done so many videos on this. And so, like I say, there are people within the Canadian government that are corrupt, that are fully brainwashed and indoctrinated and pushing agendas that they have no idea what they're doing to Canada. But I don't hate Canada or Canadians. Like, I love my country. Look at my Canadian flag. And so just because I'm against what people within the Canadian government are doing and the companies they're hiring, like McKinsey, etc., millions of dollars worth of contracts for people that are giving them misinformation and scamming Canadians. And then again, this just being written off when people like myself for years would consistently write emails to everyone within the House of Commons and experts and law enforcement and people within the military, etc. I've showed all the receipts, giving my resume as well and giving my contact information so like people could see I'm not hiding anything from anyone. Full disclosure, I would like to sit and talk with you because what you're sharing and what other people are sharing and implementing, it's literally causing more harm than good. And I was right in that case, and these people were wrong, and there's no ramifications, right? They're still getting hired, they're still getting promoted, they're not getting removed from their positions.
I do want to shout out all the creators that are making me laugh. Let's use our speech while we're still allowed to have it. And you also have to remember, Charlie wanted us to be happy warriors. So while we are fighting for truth, while we are fighting for transparency, we should remember that we should laugh and we should be happy. And the clips that you guys are making regarding how the feds think that we speak after that ridiculous made-up text chain between Tyler Robinson and his lover, Lance.
I do believe it was scripted between them. I do believe, and again, this is just me, like I have zero proof of this. I have zero proof. Just reading the text I've sent, it is very suspicious how it's written. Look at my videos on that, and it does look like there's like it's just painting this like up in a nice pretty little bow, you know, all questions answered. It's just really weird to me just how perfect all questions seem to be answered in that text exchange without the timestamps given. Whatever, I mean, it would just be like more information that we could work off of had they provided that information, but they didn't. It is what it is. Maybe they will later and provide the autopsy results. I don't know.
They're hilarious. Your TikToks and the videos are hilarious. I'm going to show you just one here. This is Chris Olsen, at Chris Olsen. He's actually over on Instagram. Take a listen.
Good day, my love. I have just committed one of the highest sins of the Lord, murder. I must flee the country now.
Yeah, I think he was covering for his boyfriend because he wanted him to like not be connected to the murder. And so I would still be looking at a possibility of retrieving deleted messages, looking at if there was any like burner phones, everything. I would want to look at literally everything.
My vehicle. I've hidden the weapon. It was mine. I won't see you for a very long time.
Between 20-year-olds, or like a conversation between 20-year-olds, they actually wrote like, keep investigating every single lead until I solve his murder. What are you doing? What are you doing? Get some of your comments. Also, I want to respond to some of you guys that were emailing us about the Dairy Queen photo. You were like, this is an old photo. It could have been from July. There's a poster, Superman. I'll explain to you why that picture was definitely not taken in July. First, I want to tell you guys about Pure Talk, because our society works because of the freedoms guaranteed by the First Amendment. Free speech, okay? Even if I hate your speech, I want you to have it. Everyday Americans should be able to speak openly, and they should be able to speak. If you're a small business owner, you can save even more. And they are showing people every day how to keep more of their hard-earned money. All right, let's get into some of your comments. First, I want to tell you guys the Dairy Queen photo. Some of you guys noticed that there was this old Superman poster, and that Superman in the background.
I'm playing this whole video because like I do have footage of that Dairy Queen from either today or yesterday with someone that is actually posted going in and asking one of the employees from this specific one what happened with the signs. So I'm going to play this out and then I'll share that video, see what you think.
Down there, that poster, you said they removed those ads back in June or July. You are correct. That's when that movie came out, and that's when they were scheduled to remove those ads. But rest assured, first and foremost, for two reasons, that is not, definitely is not footage from July. July, just so you guys understand, there is not a place in the world that would have the bandwidth to keep 24-hour footage inside of their restaurant dating back months. It auto deletes, I think, the footage at my house, because we have cameras absolutely everywhere. I think it's like every 48 hours, every 72 hours. I think the highest you might see that is 1 week. This is absolutely, by the way, how would that person have known to go back to July? Could you imagine having to scroll the footage and be like, I think I one time saw that person in July eating something here. Let's go back and scrub. Like that definitely did not happen. The source we had was very solid. It was very specific. And also saying that they threw away clothes in the nearby cemetery was very specific. This person was very confident when they shared it. But also something else that lets you date it, pull back up that photo, is behind right? They're advertising available now. What that actually is a, and I gotta remember the name of it. It's I don't know why I didn't write this down. It's like a maple leaf blizzard thing. It's maple leaf something that dropped, and they began using those advertisements for that drink on August 31st. So the absolute earliest that could have been taken is August 31st, and that's if they put up that advertisement immediately. Yes, the maple cookie shake. That's what it was.
So there you
They
go.
began advertising on August 31st, so it's not from July. And like I said, I feel very confident about our source, and we are taking a look at everything you guys have sent.
So the shake is what she's saying, just to be clear, so that everyone tracks this, because of the video I'm going to share, is what proves that this had to have been taken after the 31st of August.
Me so much more, by
So
the way,
not
which we're going to
July.
get into this weekend in memorial of
At the
Charlie
very
Kirk,
earliest.
about the house next door, some weird stuff that was happening at that house, what has been advertised at that vacant house where the locals believe that's the real place that the shooter went to. And people are telling me a lot of stuff about CIA action at UVU, some programs that they had been running, that there's a pipeline from people at UVU to people that go and work for the CIA. So there's a lot to investigate, but I also want to be given.
Yeah, there's bigger universities the CIA are involved with that we could start with, like John Hopkins, like Harvard, like Princeton, like Yale, like all of the world, Cambridge.
The time to fact check everything so that we don't go after the wrong people. Again, if you have any tips, any photos, you know where to send them.
Hollywood.
Candace, that's not right. Don't send it there. tips@CandaceOwens.com. And yeah, for those of you guys who have supported this, thank you so much. Like I said, yesterday and the day before, we see you in the comments fighting for us. And I will say it is a good thing they're attacking this hard. It's actually waking more people up. People are watching my show.
Okay, so I don't know if that was it that she was talking about regarding the photo, so I'll just share the one from the... Okay, so this is from the real bearded one. And so he's just trying to give like a lot of information. It's hit or miss.
We are currently at the Dairy Queen in Orem, Utah. So let's go inside. This is where Tyler Robinson was supposedly in that picture. So people are saying it's AI. Let's take a look. Does it look the same? Does it? Does it look the same?
Don't know. We fully cooperate with
Yeah.
local authorities.
I was just
you have
wondering
any
if you said-
questions, you can call them. and
Yeah, because
ask
nobody
them,
came
yeah.
into the video
Yeah.
showing, because there's people saying, oh, it's AI and shit.
Yeah, we really have no idea.
Was this poster here, though, and everything?
No idea.
Really? The
Yeah.
poster?
Yeah. If you have questions, you can contact local authorities. They can answer it for you.
Okay, but you
Yeah.
do change that out?
You
change that
different
out?
QLP gets
Because the
changed out
Superman's not
sometimes.
even, Superman's obviously not out anymore in the theaters.
No, not
So
at
that
all,
would
yeah.
make sense that that was gone a week ago.
Yeah, I have no idea really when it was changed out. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm so sorry, for security purposes too.
So he was probably, and first of all, don't go there, people like that. I mean, yes, like one person maybe and stuff like that to like check things out. So actually I shouldn't say that. I'm just like, don't overwhelm people. Don't be rude. I'll say that. Don't be rude, be respectful. And if people ask you to leave or contact authorities, it means they've already been told what to say. All right. They had already said they were fully compliant with local law enforcement. So it's confirmed that this is the Dairy Queen by the employee. And there had been a sign, but likely within the last couple of weeks, they would remove that sign because of all the publicity and the unwanted publicity, like possibly from management, where like they know that people would be trying to go there and again take photos and verify and not actual customers. So they could have taken it down, since the all the photos were out on him.
For employees, we can't have people filming inside.
This was from 10 hours ago.
Take a picture. The security, see right there? That's where he was standing. See. All right, guys, so we are currently...
All right. Almost done.
Watching them lie, debunking their lies, and going, okay, why did they do that? Like, why would PBD do that? Like, we've always been friendly. He was very kind to me. I've always been kind to him. Why just allow these people to lie? There's so many lies just in that 1 segment. It's stunning to me. Even when he says Andrew Colvett was there in the Hamptons. No, he wasn't. Andrew Colvett was definitely not there in the Hamptons. What are you lying about? It's very strange. Is there like, are you being paid to lie, or do you actually believe those lies? I don't know. But all I know is that I'm not going to get distracted by them. We are going to solve the murder of my friend Charlie Kirk. And if you guys would like to support us, we are independent. As I tell you, you can sign up at our website, CandaceOwens.com. Buy yourself this. This is pretty bomb. Yep, our CIA line. This is the Candace Intelligence Agency. Some people think that.
All right. I promote her. But, oh, my video's off. Get it back on. I'm going to leave on one final. This was just sent to me. I don't know what it's about, but I want to read it with you. Okay, so internet users are questioning the authenticity of text messages. Is this the one? No. This one.
Okay, so there's a difference between liberals and leftists. Okay, it's a very big difference. A liberal is someone I will disagree with, and we'll have a wonderful time. We'll go out to dinner and we'll consider each other friends. A liberal is someone that might believe in gay marriage. They might believe in more accessible abortion. They might believe in higher taxes, and they might believe in, maybe more social welfare programs. That's a liberal. A liberal will agree to disagree. A liberal will have the conversation and they'll say, we might not agree on this, but I still treat you with respect, and I really like you as a person. A leftist will try to shut you up before you even open your mouth. A leftist does not believe in capitalism whatsoever. A leftist is rooted in intolerance. And you see this happen all over the place in America, where college campuses get shouted down. You heard my message tonight. Do you think I'm a hateful speaker? Do you think I bring vitriol? I get labeled by groups on the left in America that I should not be allowed to speak on U.S. campuses. That I'm somehow spreading vitriol and hatred, and I'm spreading dangerous ideas. There's a difference between a liberal and a leftist.
Yep. Yes, there is. That's all I have for now. There's been I haven't checked in the last 24 hours regarding the if there was an autopsy released. I thought it was going to be mentioned in this video. Maybe she did and I missed it. But regarding clothing retrieval, I still have not seen anything regarding law enforcement discussing that they had acquired the clothing. One set of clothing possibly being at the cemetery. He did mention, Tyler Robinson did mention that he had dropped off clothing in different locations. And so whether the cops have acquired that or not, it has not been released. And again, I'll reiterate, neither has the autopsy reports. And if and when they do come, again, I'll be definitely overanalyzing that as well. If people, are able to get a lot of these details to Candace Owens in like Cole's Note version, like I think it would give her a lot more insight into where to focus her attention on. And I'm saying this respectfully. She's doing a great job anyway. She has so many people helping her. I'm just another person that's offering my help. And I do have a lot of witnesses that I've shared, people that have worked with the security detail, with Charlie Kirk, and so many other videos, right? That are I don't know, mitigating the misinformation. And so on that note, I will leave it at that. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.